You have choice. You have always had choice. What change can we be today? What action can we take to create a future of greater possibilities? Welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast with your host, Simone Milasas. So, welcome everybody to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. So if you are watching us, well, here we are, Mr. Christopher and myself, Simone Milasas, and we both in blue. So if you're actually listening to us, why don't you can go check us out on YouTube as well. So if you're listening, don't forget we've got pretty much 80% of the podcast on my YouTube channel now as well. And then, of course, if you're listening, you know where to find us. So I have Mr. Christopher Hughes with me today, and he's been on quite a few times on my podcast. He's one of my favorite people to chat and extrapolate and explore possibilities with. And I'm extremely honored that I get to call him one of my best friends. So thank you, Christopher, for being on here.
I am chuffed and honored too. I adore you, and every conversation with you is one worth having.
So today we were going to talk about money. Now, I'm going to tell you why we're going to talk about money today too, because Chris and I have a call coming up. There's no prerequisites to this, okay? And it's called It's Money, Are You Choosing It? And it comes out just a couple of days after this podcast. So we went, well, let's start the conversation with money, and what that is. And recently, Chris did this class, and right at the end of the class, and I think you can hear all the Aussie birds here. They are so loud. I think it's dinner time. So, but you know what? I'm in Australia. I'm in Peregian Beach, and that's how it rolls. So anyway, we said, let's have a conversation about money. And Chris, he did this class, and right at the end of the class, he said, I am a millionaire based on using access consciousness tools. And I went, whoa. I went, that's true. And I went, so am I. And then I was talking to Dane here, who's the co-creator of Access Consciousness. And I was telling him about this, and he went, so am I. And he went, so are a lot of people. There's a lot of people that use Access Consciousness tools that have created, a hell of a lot of money. And also I'm looking at now, what I started looking at myself recently was I'd become sort of a little bit complacent, I guess. And I was like, well, what if I did start asking for more money? Like, how much money would I like to actualize coming in, revenue streams coming in from all the different businesses and investments that I have per year? Like, start looking at that for myself. And here's the thing, like when I say that, how many of you does it pop up and you go, well, that's just being greedy, or that's just being this or whatever, like that's, my mother said to me at one stage, don't you have enough? And I was like, it's not about the money. But if I'm earning, say, $5 million a year, like revenue just coming in a financial year, then am I more successful in what I desire to create in the world? And what I desire to create in the world, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't guessed by now, is more consciousness, and for you to be more aware of where you are at in the world, what your choices are, and that you have infinite choice. You have so much choice. What do you want to choose, and what action can you take so that we can create something greater here and be grateful for what we have here as well? So that's my aim, my target, my request, my ask, and all of that. But what comes with that success is money. It's like, it's like the poof that comes out, and it's like, except sometimes it's gold. It's like, sometimes it's coins. Sometimes it's, a beautiful purple 500 euro note, in all these different, ways. And I have learned to receive money and have a hell of a lot of fun with money. So today we just went, let's start this conversation with money. And before I pressed record, Christopher said, let's talk about money and bodies. And I was like, tell me more, Mr. Christopher.
Great question. Bodies is such an interesting topic. Like, if you really want to break it down, as our dear friend, the founder of Access Consciousness, says, the only purpose of having money is to nurture your body. You have money so that you can buy a house, buy clothes, buy food, buy a car. All of these things are for storing, feeding, or transporting your meat suit. And what's so interesting about money is, as you said when you were giving that intro, Most people that I know don't really care about money. Not that we don't care about it, but it isn't really the motivating factor. It's, as you said, the
Oh,
poop that comes out as like it's the byproduct of creation.
yeah.
And what I've noticed too is the more and more I'm willing to nurture my body and care for my body and do things for my body, like having the massage therapist that I want to, so that my body feels like relaxed and the muscles are happy, and the facialist and the hairstylist and the doctors, or all of the different people that you have. As I heard you refer to it, and it really inspired me. You called it your pit crew. And it's like some people do the bare minimum when it comes to that kind of self-care and nurturance of their body because of the money. But what I've noticed is the more I've been willing to choose things that are for my body and are a gift to my body, the more money just shows up to handle it. It's like even I even consider things like having a gardener and having a housekeeper. Really, it's about your body. Yeah, you're maintaining your property, but also how does your body feel when you walk through those spaces? When you
Mm.
walk through a beautifully manicured garden, or you walk through a house that's not only tidy, but actually clean and smells clean. To me, those are so relaxing. And that makes my body just feel a sense of peace and space that a dirty environment doesn't create.
Okay, so I'm going to give some home play to people who are listening to this as well. It's like, I want you to write down like where you are at your life right now. I want you to write down 10 things. And as Christopher and I talk, it might be one of the things that we're talking about. And you go, I'd like that, And I want you to write down 10 things that you would actually like. Don't make it about money. It's like, what is it that would make you happy? What is it that would bring you joy? What is it that would create more ease for your body? Because as you spoke about that, it's like, I have my cleaner. She's just friggin' wonderful. She comes twice a week. And so that's 8 hours. And she cleans the house and does my washing. And actually, let me stand corrected. I do my washing because I'm so friggin' fussy about it. But she does the folding and the ironing and puts all my clothes away. Okay. That's a whole separate topic. um, but she does all of that. And I have a gardener. I have someone who comes and washes my car. It's like, even if my car's not dirty, it's like I've got this regular spot. I live near the ocean. It's like I like to protect my car. And it's like when you live near the ocean, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's just salt everywhere. So, I get my car washed, and it's like, and as you said, it's actually my massage therapist who said to me, I love your pit crew. You've got such a great pit crew. Because when I used to go on tour and I'd come back and pretty much, get all my clothes to the dry cleaning. Well, my assistant would actually take all my clothes to the dry cleaning. There you go. And it's like I'd send a shopping list and she would go, to my local favorite, fruit and veggie place and buy the food that I wanted so that my fridge was stocked when I arrived. And she still does that. Like I'll send her lists and she'll go do that. Every now and then I go shopping and I go to the supermarket because I just enjoy it. And it's fun for me. And it's like this like relaxation just to walk the aisles and have a look at what's going on. But 80% of the time, my assistant does my shopping, my food shopping, right? Okay. So I have that. And it's like I do have my massage therapist, which is just brilliant. I have an osteo that I see. I have a physio sometimes that I see that I started seeing. There's like so many different people. My Pilates instructor, it's like there's all these different people who contribute to me and my body, which I have chosen that allows my life to be greater and allows more ease in my life and with my body to be able to do the things that I love, like, doing the classes that I do. It's like, if I was always walking out and wondering, I've got to clean the kitchen or do all of this. And it's like, but I have someone doing it. It's funny. I came home today and my cleaner had just left and I cooked something and I was like, God, I'm a pain in the ass with cooking. I make such a mess in the kitchen. And she comes back and she just cleans everything up again. So, I mean, of course I wipe it down, but even the fact, Chris, you and I just spent a couple of nights away with two other friends of ours, Sarah and Lauren, out at a beautiful place in Montville. 32 acres. It's called Forest Bathing. And we went out there because we had a 7-day event that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, and Dane Here are running. And we wanted to go somewhere where we could run bars and do body work and just, chillax with, I guess, each other and be this contribution. And it was so lovely. But that costs money to go do that. But we were choosing the nurturing, not the, oh, how much money is this going to cost, or what is this going to be, you know? So I want you to write down 10 things. Like, and as I gave all those examples, if you just go, my God, that is so off the charts, I'll never be able to do that. Trust me, I was there. I remember dreaming about having, you know, someone who could come and clean my house for like, I was just like, even just 2 hours, even if they just do the bathrooms, you know, and I couldn't afford that. I couldn't afford any of that. So write down 10 things that you've decided you can't choose and you cannot afford. And what I want you to do is start looking at that list and ask, okay, so what would I have to choose different for this to show up? What changes could I make? What other revenue streams could I have that could show up? And what action do I need to take? And ask those questions, and then demand of yourself and request of the universe that this starts to show up and you start to create a different reality with money, because it's actually possible.
Totally. The other one that I often use, or the question that I ask myself, is how much money would I require if I was to nurture my body the way it desires? You know, like I will never forget once, a lot of money. I remember once, we were in Perth, you and I and Gary and Brendan were in Perth, and flying back to Brisbane, we were getting on the plane in business class. So we were boarding the plane first. And I'll never forget hearing beside me this grandfather and his grandson. And the grandson said to his grandfather, "What's business class?" You know, he was fascinated. Why are these people getting on the plane first? And the grandfather said, "Oh, that's just for people who need to pay too much to feel better about themselves." And this is like, to talk about your body. The reason why business class is such a gift and a joy is you don't wait in line as long. You have more people to take care of you. You get a lounge to hang out in before you get on the plane with food and alcohol. You get more room in the cabin where you don't have as many people on top of you. So many of those things are actually about your body and how comfortable it is and how kind it is to your body when you're traveling. And believe me, you're on a 15-hour flight from Los Angeles to Brisbane. Being able to lie down is a gift. So the other thing I wanted to look at that too and bring up for people is what I've noticed over the years in being willing to reach for those things. Like if you think business class is unreachable for you, well, it will be if that's what you think, but it truly isn't. If you ask yourself, as Simone said, okay, if I've made this impossible, let's pod and pock that point of view, or destroy and uncreate it. If you've not heard the clearing statement before, it's part of Access Consciousness, and it's just amazing. If you want to know more, www.theclearingstatement.com, and Dr. Dane here, the co-creator of Access, describes it beautifully. All you need to do is find a place where you're functioning from a conclusion and pod and pocket. So there's that. The other thing that I've noticed is when you're willing to add these things to your life, when you're willing to contribute more to you and your body, you can start to scale things. And you're like, what? Scale things? Yeah. Listening to you, Simone, talk about your house cleaner, your gardener, the car detailer, your assistant, all of those different things. As you start to invest more in you and having that life you'd like to have, your life gets bigger. The scale increases. Like in our store, the Antique Guild, that you and I are both partners here in Brisbane, I have 3 employees that are really, they are wonderful for our business. One takes care of all of the digital properties and a lot of the marketing. One takes care of a lot of the customer service, and one takes care of a lot of the, well, he manages our warehouse and he does a lot of logistics. What I've been doing with each of those people is hiring them an assistant. So they have this broader overview of the company and in their area what needs to get done. And as I hire them an assistant and they give away jobs, their world gets bigger. And that costs money. And one of them, even James, I was talking to about this yesterday, hiring him an assistant. He was going, oh, but the company can't afford that. And I said, James, how much more money would the company make if you gave away some of these jobs to other people
Mm.
and allowed you to take on even greater projects? I'm not sure if that really makes sense with what we're talking about, but the
No, but
energy was
here's the
there.
thing though, it doesn't make sense, but it's not about making sense. It's not logical. Like, and I mean, you know, one of the things I write about in Joy Business, the first book that I wrote is, I think it's Star Wars. There's this scene where the guy says, you know, you're hanging onto this universe so tight. And if you don't let go of this universe, you're not going to be able to perceive the others. So it is that place of like when you're hanging on to something and going, no, the company can't afford it. Well, first of all, that's what you're going to create is the company can't afford it. And you're hanging on to this rather than just going, well, what if I was actually willing to let go and allow somebody else to handle this universe? Then what other possibilities are available? And I get, Chris, the people who are not so willing to, I'm going to say, step into the Millionaires Club and then let's go. Like $1 million is actually not that much money nowadays. And it's like, so to be making more money than that, it's like they're the people who are actually willing to let go of control, to be out of control. And when I say out of control, I'm not saying standing on a table and being, woo! It's like, no, I mean like being out of control, like allowing yourself to receive, allowing the company to receive, allowing an assistant to show up. And, you know, I remember the first time that Gary Douglas said to me, you need to get an assistant. This was years ago. And I was like, I didn't know how to do that. I was like, I don't know how to get an assistant. I don't know how to deal with that. And I knew he was correct because I was spending so much time doing like the most menial things. So then I gave myself the tool when I'd wake up in the morning and everything I'd start to do, I'd go, could somebody else do this? And of course I was control freak of magnitude. I'd be like, no. And then I'd look at it and go, well, yeah, hang on a second. I drive every day. I drive 15 minutes to the post office box. I pick up the mail. I come back. I open the mail. And then I do the filing or I pay the accounts or whatever, you know. So that's like a good hour, an hour and a half out of my day. And I was like, could somebody else do that? Yeah. And first I'd get them to go pick it up, you know, open the mail so it'd all be out there for me. And then it was like, well, what if I got somebody else to pay the bills? And gradually, and he said to me, there's going to be a time where you have like 4 or 5 assistants. And I was like, no, tell me it's not so, like that can't be possible, you know. And now
And
when
how many assistants do you have?
I have a lot, you know, and I have a lot of people who contribute all over the world, but I'm also willing to receive that and know that when I receive that, everything gets bigger and everything gets greater. So it doesn't make sense what you're saying. None of this makes sense. It's not logical. It's not linear. You don't go, you know, A plus B equals C. A equals everything. And it's like, what if you started choosing everything that's possible? And what comes with that though? You got to be willing to lose everything. And I think that's what freaks so many people out too. It's like, they're like, what do you mean lose everything? And it's like, well, you know, every single thing I invest in, I'm willing to lose. Now I wasn't years
Well,
ago. Yeah. And it used to hurt. Like I would lose money and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm devastated. My life is over, and do the trauma and drama with it. And now it's like, I'm so willing to lose everything I invest in. And it ends up just growing because I don't have this point of view, like what you mentioned before. You have a point of view that's going to create your reality. So if I have a point of view and I'm like, it's almost like yelling at your investments going, you have to make me money, you have to make me money, you have to make me money. And the investment's going, Jesus Christ, lady, give me a break, you know? And when I'm not being that and I'm just like, hey, how you doing today? Do you require anything? It's like, I will grow and I will expand and I whisper to you. I'll let you know when to sell me or when to, you know, do something different, etc. So it really is that play that you can have with money and wealth creation.
exactly. And it's the willingness, growing anything, whether it's your wealth, your business, the level to which you're willing to enjoy your body, it takes risk.
Tell me more. What do you mean by that?
Well, you have to, the risk is that you'll lose everything, as you say. And if you're willing to lose it all and take that risk, the freedom inherent in that nothing owns you because you're willing for it to go away,
Yeah.
is such bliss and peace.
Yeah.
It's like people listen to the idea of flying business class, having an assistant, having a housekeeper, and they take the point of view of the grandfather that I experienced at the airport, going, oh, that's for people who need to feel better about themselves. It's a waste. But what I see, knowing what I've changed in my life and knowing what you've created in your life,
Mm.
every step you take into a bigger life does require that risk of being willing to lose it all. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to choose this. I'm going to jump off what feels like a cliff where I could fall and die. And you always fly into something greater. A new horizon of possibility just opens up. And it's
Yeah.
it's the willingness to choose greater for you no matter what that grows your life.
And there's been some moments like it's not like when Chris and I choose, we're always like, yay, we made the right choice. Not at all. It's like, in 2020 when we've got the antiques and possibilities shop in Bridgian Beach, and beautiful spot. When that opened up, I was like, God damn, if I don't take this spot, it's going to go. Like, the village is any real estate that comes up usually is rented pretty quickly, and it was over 100 square meters, so it's a good spot. And I sat there and I was like, is this insane? It's like July 2020. No one knew what the fuck was going on anywhere. It was like, and so when I sat there and I went, okay, what is the worst thing that can happen? And I looked at it and I went, all right, it's a tax deduction. I can use it as a tax deduction. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen. And what I also looked at was, am I choosing this to distract myself? Because I have been traveling for the last, I was traveling for 17 years, like 8 to 10 months out of the year. And all of a sudden I was at home. And I also did the same thing with dating apps, because I was on so many dating apps, and God, that's hard work, by the way. But that's a whole other topic. But I realized I was choosing that too, because I was bored. And then I looked at this and went, am I bored? Is that why I'm choosing this? And asked myself the questions and got really vulnerable and was like, okay, Simone, if you're bored, you need to, fill in your time with something, then is this actually what you want to choose? Or could you choose something different? I don't know. Do you want to learn to knit? No, I'm kidding. Well, knitting could be great, So, but I looked at it. And then once we actually went, yes, and signed off on the lease and everything, and then a few months later, I have had some moments of just going, what the hell did you choose? Like, did you choose this so you were stuck in Australia? And as we have, jumped over a few hurdles, I'm like, no. And like Chris Hughes and Mark Kerr are coming on as partners with myself and Brennan Watt in Antiques and Possibilities. And we had a meeting the other day, which I love, is we're changing the setup of the company so that it's no longer the energy of we can run at a loss. It's like, if we need something to run at a loss as a tax, break, then Brendan and I need to figure out something different, is what we were looking at, because this business is growing and it is expanding, and there's no way I'm going to put a cap on it. So it's like, it's the exploration of that all the time, like being in question. And when you hit those rocky roads, going, okay, so what questions can I ask? It's like, do I have someone I can call? It's like, what tools, what processes can I use, and what else would I really truly like to create here? It's like, to me, that's such the adventure of living, of being with business and money, and as you say, your bodies. It's like, I mean, these pearls, like, if you're listening to this and you're not watching on YouTube, go check it out. There's these pearls that I have on here are absolutely stunning. Perhaps Christopher can say something about them.
Basically, those are the biggest, best strand of pearls I've ever seen in my life. For pearls to get as large as these are, it's just completely unheard of. These are $250,000 pearls.
And I love this diamond clasp as well. It's so beautiful. So someone who we know, a contact, his client was selling them, and at a, I thought a pretty good price. So I was like, okay, I'll buy them and I can sell them at the shop. So it's like, that's another part of the revenue stream, making more money. But then I got them and went, oh, these are really nice. I think I'll wear them for a little while and then I'll see what shows up. But it's like everything that shows up in your life, it's like, what if it's a contribution? And my body loves wearing them. It's just like, oh, yay. how did I get so lucky? How did I get so
Mm,
lucky? How did we get so lucky?
exactly. We just choose it constantly.
So can you just expand on that slightly? Like, what is that for you? Just choosing it constantly? Because have you always done that, or what sort of awareness are you coming to with choosing that?
Yeah, I have always chosen for greater. I've never taken the reality around me or my parents' world that they lived in as all that was available or all that was possible. I always knew that there was something greater, and I always chose for that. Rather than taking what's on the menu of choice, I always knew you could have more. So for me, I've created success in my life as an inevitability because, as we've said earlier, your point of view really does create your reality. And my point of view is things are always getting greater.
Mm.
They're
I know
not
that. Yeah.
diminishing. Yeah. And so they do.
I
Like
spoke to
I
my
was
yeah,
I
you
was
go.
listening to we're doing this Access Consciousness 7-day class, which is these classes are the most transformational things I've ever attended in my life. Wow. I was listening to it today, driving home from this house we were at, and I was just going, there's no way that life, like the only way is to keep improving, keep expanding, and keep growing. There's no, like, with what we're choosing and what we're creating and the consciousness that we're facilitating constantly and the space that we were opening up, things can only get better and better and better and better and better. That's just that is.
I agree. I spoke to my niece today, and it's her birthday, and she just turned 18. And she's at Schoolies in the Gold Coast, which, if you guys don't know, if you're listening to it overseas, when you finish high school in Australia, traditionally, so many people go to the Gold Coast, Australia, and basically just go to every bar you can and get drunk and, and have a hell of a lot of fun and freedom because you've just left high school, right? So it's a celebration of that. And she said to me, Auntie Simone, she goes, I went to this club last night and I spent about $200 on cocktails. And she goes, so now I've got to start to be careful with my money. And I'd given her some money to have there. And I went, I'll put another couple of $100 in your bank account because she's got till Saturday. And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah. She said, being 18 is so different. And I was like, and Ellen, it just gets better and better and better and better. She's so cute. She's like, we've got to go out somewhere and have a cocktail. I'm like, sure. Sounds good.
Oh, that is cute.
I just want to add one more thing here too. You were saying, having money is is so much for your body, and your body is what gets to enjoy it. The other piece about money that I get so much enjoyment out of, I really do, is being able to change people's realities. Like,
Mm,
giving Ellen $200 extra, it's nothing for me. And for her, it was like, whoa. And we've been having conversations recently about that, towards Christmas time, what can you do and be at Christmas? Well, what if you got to change people's realities with the money you had? And it doesn't have to be $200. It could be $2,000, or it could be $10. It's like, what if this year you looked at the people in your life, that are a contribution, or even the ones, I don't know, like the postie, it could be anyone. And it's like, what if you gave them a gift? And it's like, it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It could be, it could be you bake a cake. I don't know. It's like, or it could be some money. And what if that generosity of spirit was what we all passed on to each other around the world? Then what sort
mm.
of world would we actualize? Like, what action can you take so that we can have that world that functions from a generosity of spirit? It's like, to me, that's what I'm asking for.
Me too.
So if you are interested, we do have a class coming up. You can actually go to SimoneMilasas.com / I think it's called Are You Choosing? That's it. So SimoneMilasas.com / Are You Choosing? And there's a whole bunch of classes that we've got on there. I've already done one class. It was a one-off class called It's Your Life. Are You Choosing It? The next ones I have coming up, the one with Chris in December, which starts in a couple of days as this is launched. And it's money. Are you choosing it? And Chris and I, honestly, we have so many tools to empower you to choose something different. I am going to say one thing though. If you choose to come on that, you need to choose to come on it and use the tools. It's not about me and Chris fixing anything for you or giving you, quote unquote, an answer. We have so many tools that we use that changed our financial reality. So you have to make that commitment to yourself that you're going to make those choices and actually choose something different. But we've got you back. Okay. So that's right.
And the cool part of it, as you're just saying, it's throughout December. So we're actually doing like 4 calls. Yeah. And what I love about that is seeing what changes through the duration, like of what we talk about on call 1 to call 2 to all the way through, and seeing that growth and change together if you use the tools.
And we will give you some really pragmatic tools to use. And if you sign up, as soon as you sign up and register, we've actually got some videos that Chris and I did that where you start, okay? You get to start. So my question to you is, have you had enough of where you are financially? And would you like to create something different? Now, you also don't have to have like no money or be desperate or be pathetic with money to come on. It's like, what if you are at that $1 million mark or that $5 million mark or that $100 million mark or whatever, and you'd like to increase it? Because quite often it's the same point of view, like that same insane point of view that limits you when you have $1 million in the bank account or $10 in the bank account. So that's what we'd like to contribute and empower you guys with, to get that you can change that. So in January, we've got It's Your Body, Are You Choosing It? So you can jump on that one as well. And none of these have any prerequisites, okay? So we do have some suggested things to, watch or read or anything like that. Just it's going to help you when you come on the classes. But this is your life. Are you choosing it? Is how I always look at it. It's like, this is not a dry run. It's not a test. It's like, what if you stopped waiting and what if you started choosing?
And enjoying every moment of it.
Exactly. So, Mr. Christopher, thank you so much for coming on here again. I adore you, and mwah. And it was so much fun hanging out with you. So if you guys like this, please share it, subscribe, do all of that. And yeah, we'll see you soon somewhere in the world. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you're enjoying this podcast and have a question or topic you'd like me to address, please leave a review wherever you are listening. The best way for me to know what it is you want to hear about is to send in your questions, and we actually read all the reviews that come in. So let us know which episodes you loved and what you want to hear about next, right there in the podcast reviews. And thank you. Truly, truly grateful.